Hey YouTube, this is Modern Slayer here, aka Andres Perez. I'm long time no see. I'm here to go over in detail with you guys the Fan Knights Master Duel deck list I used to get top 8 in the Master Duel main event series hosted by the side deck. I think this format of Yu-Gi-Oh! Has the most powerful version of Fan Knights to use. It has the most gas and verte and grass. That grass looks greener, still legal. So I feel this is very unique for Fan Knights because being able to synergize so many different engines is very powerful. Um, for the tournament, I ended up in Swiss going 4-1 for my match record. I only lost the last round of Swiss as well as my top 8 match, and I actually was 2-0ing everyone before those last two matches that I lost in the entire tournament. I also go over my Fair Knights deck list I used to go first, as well as going second, since I actually just ended up using Fan Knights in every match of the tournament, in every game, even though for this tournament you were allowed to side deck into um anything you wanted that's in your card collection. But I just do not have enough practice with other decks to be as good as a pilot as I am with Fan Knights. With that being said, let's go over my game one deck list, then my deck list I use for going second, and then my deck list for going first, as well as some side deck choices I recommend for going first or second. I'll be making some comparisons just so you guys know advance in comparison to my TCG deck list, since I also like to use 60 cards in that deck list as well as this deck list. Um, so yeah, so let's get started with my game one deck list. So I use 3 torn scales, 1 ray gloves, 2 ancient cloak, 3 silent boots, um, 1 rhoda, 3 power blade, 1 wings, 1 shade brigade. Um, some noteworthy things about the Fam Night related cards is that I do not use the stained underwear or the 2A gloves I use in my TCG deck list, but grass is legal in this game, so I feel like that makes up for the second name. I know I said I didn't feel like shade is needed for my TCG deck list, but for Master Duel, I think it's worth it since you can link it into Link Spider to get an effect monster to go into Verte and then DP. And then DP as an interruption and follow up is very strong. You always want to end on DP going first, or if you cannot kill your opponent going second, you want to pressure them a lot on their crackback with DP. Now for the Horus engine, I use 3 City, 1 Happy, 1 Dwamatef, and the 3 King Sark. Um, Nothing really much to say about these ratios. Same thing I use for my TCG deck list. Next for the Adventure engine, I use 3 Water Enchantress, 2 Raid of Aramesir, 1 Faithful, 1 Dracoback, and 1 Griffin Rider. If Water Enchantress gets unlimited next list, I would max out on her as well as Raid of Aramesir. 2 worked out okay for this tournament. I saw it just enough. Um, I am testing out 3 right now, and I do prefer 3 in general now. But these ratios were fine for the tournament, especially since you have thrust as well to go ahead and add it to your hand going second. Also Draco back is a really good going second card, both pseudo going second card without free to get to your deck, and really good discard fodder as well. Speaking of going second cards, these are the hard ones. 3 Lava Golem, 3 Maxi, 1 Talent, 2 Thrusts, 3 Super Poly, 3 Droplet, 3 Evenly, and 2 Call by the Grave. I think Lava Golem is decent this format in comparison to TCG, where you have to still deal with first turn boards with monsters that are banned in comparison to the TCG format. Lava Golem comes up quite a bit against tier when they end on Kick Kellos, so you can out it, and then it doesn't get its reborn effect because of what being sent to the graveyard by a card effect. It helps against Barone and boards in general, such as Vanadium, Dragon Link. Um, well, they don't typically end on Barone, but Savage as well, and that type mentality because it's also like a non-mitigate as well as one of the synchros that are banned in CCG. Um, Helps out a Rise Hard as well against Kashira if they decide to overextend with the Shang, which they most likely are when they see you're on 60 cards. So you can go ahead and lava golem them into a downward Zeus play. When a lot of times when you do this to your opponent's board, I'll speak more about the downward Zeus play when I get to my post um post game one deck list, since I know you guys don't see it on here. Um, the three super poly I might take out. Well, actually, I think I will take out just because it only came up once in the tournament where I actually drew into it. It did glitch me that game though, but it's a little bit weird because I am using it in 60 cards in comparison to a lot of decks that use it in 40 cards, and I won't see it as much. Which means that I'm kind of wasting extra deck space in a sense. Um, but also it's okay because if I brick or I get hard with Max C, I uh I still see somewhat of a high impact card, but it's like a gamble at that point, which you really don't want to be gambling as much as possible in Yu-Gi-Oh! You want to mostly avoid it. Um, Thrust is good because you can get to like a PK engine with Rhoda, Adventure engine with Raid, or even mill your deck with Grass Looks Greener. So I'll probably bump this up to 3 in future testing, just because every time I activated Grass, I never lost the game. The call by hits hand traps, Link Second as well as the Promethean Princess in Graveyard. Drop was pretty much staple in every version of the deck. And it evenly matches decent against Kashtira and then stun variants. I'm actually testing this in my TCG version deck list as well. Um, because the advantage you can generate in main phase 2 is really good in this version of Vanna Knights without Verte still legal. Now we have the Speedroids with the Ceratop and the Tekatomborg. Really good one card starter to either set up your Downer Zeus plays or in general when going first without having to commit your normal summon to get your adventure set up with Griffin Rider. Um, and with the Fusion Destiny package, we have the two Fusion Destiny, the Denier, and the Dasher. I know some deck lists use two militias, but I feel dedicating more space for 1 second cards is more important. Celestial is banned in this format, but Denier is okay, just not as good. For follow up, still a useful level 3 body though. You can use on the crackback for like Xyz monsters. Um, Speaking of Xyz monsters, I use 2 Break Sword, 1 Raider's Knight, 1 Arc Rebellion, and Zombie Vampire. I don't have room in for the Livier Downer Zeus package, but I think I'll probably end up putting those in and mess around with which ones I want to prioritize in the extra deck, so just saying out the Super Poly package. Um, and then the fusion package in general is the Verte, the Garura, Mudragon, and DP. Um, the only one I ended up making up in this tournament was the Garura. Um, for the links, I have the Link Spider, Almiraj, Shirabini, IP, SP, and the Rusty. Um, the Link Spider is good since it helps not only Link summoning Verte, but SP Little Knight as well, since it comes up where you want to out some of your opponent's back row after you use the Draco back effect going second. Um, IP is good because a lot of your monsters in this deck um are darks, such as your Domatev, Happy, the token, But yeah, so now I'll be moving forward to the version of my deck if I feel my opponent's gonna make me go second. So this is very similar to my TCG iteration of the deck, which I'll leave a link in the comments below that I did a deck profile on to my buddy's Toff's channel. The theory behind this is you side out the DPE engine and you put in side deck hate for weird matchups. I know what you guys see on screen is the inclusion of Dark Ruler, more talents, and like um carbon copy of my TCG extra deck list. But it can change depending on how you expect your opponent to potentially side, as more than likely you'll have access to spectating other games in a tournament. They can take notes on how they blindside. Like I'll go ahead and pull up a list of Warring Secret cards I think that work pretty good in this deck. Swicky Dogwood, same thing as with like TCG, can come up for time. Um, Dark Hole is decent because some players side into Makanko going first, and Makanko still has access to Isolde to help perform the Acid Golem lock. Book of Eclipse can also out that as well. Just be careful though with Eclipse because it is hashable. The seal cards are really good in my opinion because you can take an Appaloosa if you're going up against Snake Eye or the Whale, or also take the Fire King. I forget the name. It's the monster effect negate one. Um, but also you don't have to worry about Melodious or Voiceless Voice. In this format yet though. So not like in TCG where you have to also consider you want to main deck these cards that those cards those decks are relevant. Red Reboot is decent if your opponent's gonna be on like trap in a trap deck going first, like Labyrinth. Um Dark Ruler is decent for the Maname or Kashtira matchup. And Sea Dragon, I would just usually side it just in case so I could perform a downward Zeus play if my opponent likes to use a Protoss deck going first. And also in case if I see Terra Top in order to perform the lineup play. Now I'll show you guys my deck list I use for going first. So the main philosophy with this deck is you try to Lancia and side block your opponent no matter what they might cite against you. Making potential board breakers they might cite in, like evenly talents, Regeki, storms, useless if you just lock them out of playing. Establishing follow up. So I had to play a lot of gas, pull this off as consistently as possible. That's why you see the dangers here, because you have a good chance of drawing into them. There's side decades such as or you have a good chance of siding into side decade with their in-hand effects such as thrust, talents, or artifact sanctums. They're unlimited in this format too, which they can also serve as darkling fodder in case of your grab effect gets ashed. Um, I am using more max V counters than normal in this deck, such as with the inclusion of Drill and Lockbird and the Crossout Designator, but that's because I really want to guarantee that my Scythe and Lantia lock resolve. I also use Droll because it helps the probability of countering Maxi, and this deck can still set up Scythe lock even under Droll. That's why I like to use the BA engine as well, because it plays better into side deck 8, such as Droll and even Lancia as well. The tour guide trades very well with Impermanent Veiler. She is really good hand trap hate. Because of how high she increases the ceiling of the deck. I know that the argument with tour guide is that she is a conflicting normal summit, but since this is a 60 card deck list, the odds of seeing that confliction is very low. Also, I play a high amount of generic extenders to help push through tour guide being hand trapped in general, such as not only the dangers but the psychics as well. I like to use sanctums since you're going to get hand trapped quite a bit. Um, Going first, you can still thrust into Sanctum and put them on better top deck and out for the Scythe or Lancio. Um, Overall, I think this deck list helps you be well versatile to every matchup, as even if your opponent sides into a deck that doesn't need the extra deck necessarily, like Kashtira, Flu, or Makanko, Lancia locking them before they can use their pot cards, or even using evenly match against you is still very good, and you're still skipping their turn and winning on the crackback with all the follow up you establish going first. But that being said, thank you guys for watching the deck profile. I hope this video gave you guys some tips and strategies when it comes to the Master Duel format and how I would go about taking them using the Found Ice deck. I hope you guys have a nice day and stay safe.